Zhagaagiwanzh. Hello, my relatives. My name is Richey, and there's a few things I do at the college. Right now I'm teaching early college credit program Ojibwemowin for high school students, and then in the summer I work at the LCOOC research farm. I have a pretty extensive knowledge of wild edible plants, and so I'm going to do a few videos showing you some edibles that you can pick during this quarantine time. Picking wild edibles is a really good way to social distance. You don't have to be around a whole lot of people out here, and it's also a good way to get some exercise and learn about what's around you. So today we are going to pick Allium burdickii. The Ojibwe name is Zhagaagiwanzh, wild onion. So we're going to pick a specific type of wild onion, which is the narrow-leaved wild leek. There are a couple of different types of wild onions found in Wisconsin. We've got ramps, we've got leeks, we've got nodding onions. The narrow-leaved wild leek comes up pretty early in the spring. So this is one you can find right now, and actually I was finding them about a week ago. There is a spot that I call Ramp Island, and it has several different types of ramps and leeks and a whole lot of what we're looking for today. So I have scouted this place before. I know where I'm going, but if you're looking for a new place to search for stuff, definitely want to look somewhere wet. And if you're looking for these Allium burdickii, these narrow-leaved wild leeks, you are going to want to be in a cleaner environment by some running water. So here's a really good view of the type of area that I'm going to be gathering in today. So you're definitely going to want to pay attention to where that sun is hitting. Here we are at my narrow-leaved leek spot, and these are my narrow-leaved leeks, and these guys are actually coming up really well. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest some for you guys. But before you do that, before you do any harvesting, you're gonna wanna make sure that they are what you think they are. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is check and see how many leaves are growing. And there's 2 leaves or 3 leaves. If there's more leaves than that, it's not a wild leek. So make sure that you're counting how many leaves there are. The second thing you're going to want to do to identify these is you're going to want to break off a leaf and crush it up and smell it. And it should smell very oniony, a little bit garlicky, and pretty strong. If it doesn't have that onion smell, it is not a wild leek and you should not eat it. These are one of the easier wild plants to identify. These are pretty safe. There are a couple dangerous lookalikes. One of them is lily of the valley, which is actually toxic. So you definitely don't want to eat that. So you want to make sure that you follow the instructions I've given for proper identification, and make sure it smells like onion. If it doesn't smell like onion, it is not a wild leek, and you probably shouldn't eat it. You're gonna clear away the leaves so you've got a nice clean area to harvest. And then, of course, we gotta lay our tobacco. And we're gonna say miigwech gitchimanadu for giving me these nice wild leeks to harvest, the Zhagaagiwanzh. And I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Mother Earth. Miigwech. And then we're gonna take our small dirt knife, because we're cutting close to the dirt. Don't want to use my big knife. If you are on private property, you can dig them up. If you're on public property, I don't recommend digging them up. If you dig them up, you are going to decimate the population. And this is one of the spots where I have dug up a few just because there's so many. This is about an acre-wide area of leeks. In order to sustainably harvest, I recommend cutting them off. You're gonna get the same amount of flavor, it's less work, and it's better for our our little brothers and sisters here. We want to make sure that they stay healthy and keep feeding us for many years to come. If you do own some private land that has some leeks and you do want to dig some up, you're going to have to use a shovel or a spade and dig down about 8 inches. The bulb itself is about 8 inches down typically. I want to show you some of the things that you should have with you for when you're harvesting. So I have this fanny pack, which I've been made fun of for before, but I like it because when you wear a backpack and you're going through the deep woods, it's really easy to get hung up on trees and stuff, or you know, raspberry briars and stuff. So I like to have my fanny pack because it's right by me, everything's in my reach, and I'm not getting caught on a bunch of stuff. And I'm not keeping stuff in my pockets where it could fall out. So some of the things I bring with me, you want to make sure you're being safe and that you have all the tools for the job. So my tools for the job today are going to be these 2 knives. I've got my dirt knife, I call it, which I use for harvesting things that are dirty, so I'm not dulling my good knife. And then I've got my good knife, which is a little bit bigger, used for bigger, cleaner projects. So I've got them both in case I need them. And then over here in my second pocket, I have my handy dandy compass. So the area where I am right now, I know really well. I know how to get in and out, and I'm not going to get lost. But if you're harvesting an area where you haven't been before, or going to an area deeper than you've been before, you're definitely going to want to check out the area on a map. A good recommendation is to use the map on your cell phone and zoom in on the area where you're going to go, so you know what features to look for. And if you really want to be really safe, you will get a county plat map for your county. So a county plat map or a plat book will have you know, areas. It'll have all the areas laid out, so you'll know where the county land is, where private land is, and some landmarks. So for instance, in the area where I'm harvesting today, I know that I have to cross 4 different creeks to get here. So I know I have those 4 crossing points on the way here and those 4 crossing points on the way back. So I'm not going to get lost because I know where my crossing points are. I've been here a lot before. But if you're a novice and you're afraid of getting lost, make sure you've got that compass and know which way you have to go to get out if you get lost. And then of course you're going to need your tobacco. So we're going to make a tobacco offering before we harvest anything, just to say thank you for Mother Earth and Gitchi Manitou for allowing us to pick this food and this medicine. And then in this pocket I've got my cell phone and my identification cards. So you're going to want to have your identification cards with you, especially if you're an indigenous person harvesting, because sometimes people might look at you funny and might ask some questions, and it's good to have those in case you get stopped. But it's also good to note that harvesting wild edibles, most wild edibles, is completely legal for anybody on public land. So you shouldn't have too many problems, and if somebody asks, you can say, well, this is legal for everybody, and I have my tribal ID, I can hunt and gather here, this is my right. Mother Earth gave me this right to use this food and this medicine, and I'm gonna use it, and they can get over it. So I've only been questioned by somebody one time, and it went pretty well. So, but just make sure you have that information in case somebody asks. And of course I bring my cell phone in case I like fall and break my leg and need to get some help out. And then I got my keys attached so I don't lose them. And then the last thing you're gonna want is some kind of apparatus to carry your goods out with. For Alien Bradicki and other ramps and leeks, I highly recommend paper bags. Plastic bags make them wilt really fast, but paper lets air go through and they can breathe and they stay nice and perky. So without further ado, let's get started. Another really good tip for not getting lost in the woods is to pay attention to the type of trees that you are passing. So the first type of trees that I passed were a bunch of white pines, which you can see in the background. And as I go lower into this wetland, I'm going to be seeing a lot of different types of trees. There's quite a few oaks, quite lots of maples, but that's going to kind of help you to figure out where you're at if you get confused. To pay attention to the types of trees you're passing, know which order you pass them in. So if I pass my white pines first and now I'm with a bunch of oaks, I know that when I'm on my way back, I'm going to look for those oaks and then those white pines. This actually works really well, especially when you're foraging, because when you're foraging, you're looking at the ground a whole lot. You may not be paying attention a lot to what's around you, but if you know what types of trees you passed, it can be really helpful when you're trying to find your way out.